Dun, 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 dun. Good morning, America. Hey, we got a week open in the market. A week open in the market. This is good. No, Siri. No. We got a week open in the market after yesterday's run. Even though the market was just kind of chopping around, there was great action in individual stocks. We had a broad-based run in more speculative type of names. So even though the market was in a range, we had great price action, which is frankly, right, more important than what the indexes are doing. We finally saw, right, like some of these kind of more beaten down names like Fubo really get big runs on them. And so you're starting to see these kind of bottoming patterns slowly emerge in the market. And so whether the indexes are, holding up or not holding up, I think that's a good sign for the overall market that we're seeing, some of these kind of bottom stocks start to peel out, and frankly, it's probably going to, that brings a little bit more speculation. And, like, so these companies like Space and Fubo that have been really hanging, that's going to be kind of important to just be, for the overall health of the market. So let's take a look at the earnings plays. Then we'll start going into kind of some of the regular watch lists and see what we've got. There are some decent stocks that are having having earnings out in the last couple of days. You saw yesterday, LI had a huge move into the post earnings, and it didn't have much of a reaction before that, which is kind of interesting. But I think that that's actually really healthy. When we want to be able to see these kind of like reactions on stocks that have earnings. So you can see here, the adjusted loss narrows, revenue rises, issue quarter four, blah, blah, blah. So like now you're starting to see this rebounding in some of these Chinese electric vehicles. And we frankly need that anyway. So that's going to be a good thing. Let's keep an eye on some of these. I think that LI, NIO, XPEV, they need to be watched today. Let's take a look at some of the rest of these gappers here. Junk, BTBT, junk. So this VER's got a PR out, but you can see it's already faded most of its gap. I leave that one alone. Yeah, that's just not going to be any fun because you're going to have too much level of supply overhead. This was obviously a former high flyer, $40 name. It's been really beaten down over here. You've kind of remounted the 200 SMA and the 9 EMA yesterday. We also saw Riot and Mara go. I think that there's actually a chance for this probably to continue on, maybe into the 10s. But I wouldn't be surprised. Like the bear flag breakdown was about 12. I think somewhere in between this 20 SMA and 12 is probably where it wants to kind of creep out to get this thing going. Hey, Zamin, what's up, baby? Fucking BYND. Damn. Ain't that some shit? BYND debuts Beyond Burger 6-packs in Canada. Oh, man. This thing has been flying. You know what? This is a good trader. At this point, you've remounted the 50 SMA. You probably got a date with the 200. I would say about 142 is going to be the congestion in this one. It's up too many days in a row for me to now want to try to chase this gap unless it pulled back because you're at the top of the Bollinger Band. I take a pass on that one. Hey, so this Maro's been rebounding. Riot's been rebounding. I would keep both of these on your watch list today. One just caveat on these. I make this fucking mistake on these two stocks all the time. They trade a little bit thick. Both of them, when you're day trading them, it's frankly a lot easier. You want to really be getting these on pullbacks. Yeah, I was just going through my own trades yesterday. They don't go well like as ORB type moves. You want to be really hitting these things on the pullbacks. Like when they spike up, like as long as they're holding support, they tend to be very, very good traders. Obviously you want to use your 9 EMA in the morning, more VWAP type of trades in the midday, but you want to be able to hit these on like the deeper pulls. That's when it works out well. But like if you're trying to like just get, like breakouts in them, they just don't have that kind of, momentum. Part of it is due to the supply in them, that they're a little bit thick in terms of volume. Like this thing does 30-40 million shares a day. Same thing with Mara. And then the other part is they just have supply overhead, so they're not going to break out in your classic manner. But they both do really well off kind of pullbacks to support here. And you can see, so that was my kind of mistake on it yesterday. Was I was trying to slam this thing for a breakout, and it's not really a stock that can break out. It just doesn't have. It's not UPST or Roblox that has like trades a little bit thinner and has a spread, so it breaks out more clean. This is going to be these thick stocks. They just move in that certain kind of way. So just got to be mindful of all that. When you're looking at stocks, we hate trading stocks that have spreads and stuff like that. But frankly, those ones that have a little bit of spread, they fucking break out a lot faster than the ones that do a lot of volume and have no spread, that tend to grind into the plays. It's just a matter of preference. Do you like a little bit of stress but a fast mover, or do you like less stress but then you gotta like sit there and marinate it, all day? So like these stocks like Roblox and UPST, they got huge spreads, but when they go, they just go. But you have to have some good trading skills to catch them. Where like Mara and Riot, they may move the same percentage, but because they're cheaper and do more volume, they tend to grind out. So I keep both of these on the watch list, but remember that you got to hit these things on dips. I made that mistake yesterday, trying to fuck around with that thing. CGC is also a rounding pattern. At this point, these things have just bottomed out, most likely. This is no different than Fubo or Blink or like FUV. Very, very similar patterns. It doesn't really matter what kind of stock they are. This is, so you're seeing like the same pattern. So these are like what we call bottoming patterns. You have this thing, it's at $40, it gets down and you start at bottom out. And you're seeing that with CGC, this is the exact same pattern. And you're seeing that with like TRY, right? It's the exact same pattern. So you've tanked, you've given back 80% of the move. Now you're bottoming out. So I think that these kind of plays are going to be they're going to be where the action is for the next few days. So this is another one that's doing that. So I would keep all these kind of bottoming patterns on your watch list. I would definitely keep some of the EV companies on your watch list because, you saw like a broad-based push in a lot of them yesterday, except CCIV, which is a big turd. But this FUV moves really well. It doesn't do a crazy amount of volume. Maybe about 3 million yesterday. But it had some, that's a good range. It's a good solid range. That's a good solid Christian range right there. This thing is amazing. So we want definitely to add that to the list. I would keep QS on the list. This one moves very, very good too. Its location on the daily is a little bit more precarious, but it just trades easy. This is a nice, easy trader. I want QS. I want LI. I want FUV on the watch list for more speculative names on the EV battery side. Space, put a trigger at 27.75. I think that you've got a 3 tap on the 15-minute chart. You got a nice level over here that's starting to form. If it gets over this 27.75, it may do it right out at the open. That's gonna be a heater. You may be able to take this thing, fairly quickly. Remember, don't marry these things. Most of these stocks are all turds. They always, just because they come back a long way doesn't mean they're not turds. The Woozy. This is another bottoming pattern. This was $32. You're starting to break out range. You got over the 20 SMA yesterday. The Woozy also moves very, very well. You got always pretty good range. This is another one. You got to almost hit it on dips, and it tends to work better. But if you're trying to draw like squiggly lines and catch it on a breakout, that's just not its thing. Yeah, right? Fuck AMD. AMD is, sorry for swearing. AMD's a tough stock to trade. It's a billion share float, you're going to have, because you have this level of resistance underneath, it's going to just move in a range till this level clears. Then even when it clears, it'll pop and then pull back, but it's never going to be a breakout stock because it's just too thick. It's a $100 billion company, but $100 billion company doesn't mean anything. It's more of, it's got a billion share float and just does too much fucking volume. Like it's 50, 60 million shares. I mean, it takes, the power, it takes a lot of power to get it going. So just got to be mindful of the stocks that you trade. Some people like these kind of grinders, that's their thing, but that's not my thing. All right, let's take a look on the downside. See if we got any shorts here. Whoa, plan. Dude, I'm down with this. You got bear flag breakdown over here. 740,000 shares in volume. That's a buenos. It's going to have range. My worry on this one is going to have SSR on it because it's already down more than 10%. We'll have to let this thing pop. Well, you got to let it fizzle out, right? So you got to probably because it's down 17%, you're going to have to let it pop and then let it fizzle out. So what I mean by pop and fizzle out is like, if you look at, TAL a couple days ago, right? So like you'll have like this kind of action, right? So like TAL had its earnings out a couple days ago, and because it kept down so big, what ended up, see how like the gap was just so damn big? So it ended up squeezing off at the open, right? It runs into its MAs and then, right, it starts to slowly bleed out and then it starts to fizzle out. So like, when you have a stock that's got an SSR on it, ideally like you want it to squeeze up at the open and then let it kind of slowly fizzle out. And that's a lot easier setup than trying to, that's a lot easier setup than trying to like hit it on the first flag or something like that. Now, you're not always going to get that, but that is... Yes, this Okta's also got, I believe, Okta CFO. You know what? When you have a miss on your earnings, so wider fiscal Q1 loss, when you miss on your earnings, it's one thing, but when your chief financial officer steps down, historically, at least this is not a small cap company, so it's a little bit different, but historically, like if it was a small cap company and the CFO steps down, it usually means there's some level of fraud going on. Right? So that's, I think this is probably also something that we can add in for a potential short. So I'd add in Okta. I add in Plant. Jay Joshi, you're Gujarati, baby. You have no allegiances to anybody except chicken makhani, a little ghee, but the no company. The no company. DLTR. This is another one. Bum, 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 bum. Triples. This is another one that's got a big breakdown on it. Yeah, I would add that in. It's a retail stock, so it's not as going to be as fun as Okta and Plan. Dun, 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 dun. GME, junk. Hey, so look, this snow is gapping down on earnings today. But it's like right on support. If this thing goes red to green at the open, it catches everybody. If it goes red to green and it takes out this level here, like 236, 237, you've got a big spot on its daily that could like trigger a breakout. Now, that's a lot of what ifs. Obviously the earnings are already out and it's gapping down slightly, like a couple dollars. But if it ends up going red to green, you take out this zone, I think you're going to have yourself a nice little pizza party on this one. That's a buenos. I would add that. Let's get over here. Overlay. Oh my. Yeah, add it. Just in case it goes red to green. Add Snell to the list. Just in case. You never know. Dun 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 dun. Woof woof. Junk. IPOE. Hey, you know, this is going to turn its name into SoFi soon. Most likely, I mean, SoFi has like been a fast-growing bank, and banks have been hot all year. Most likely, this thing will be a bloated pig, you know, once the deal structure's shown its face. But right now, before it turns its name, you know, so it's like buy the rumor, sell the news kind of thing. Before it turns into SoFi, I think you're going to get yourself a nice run in this one. Probably a little bit more of a swing, but we're going to get something going. Jump. All right, cool. Let's make sure we didn't miss anything. All right, so let's kind of repeat. We've got Octaplan, DLTR, Snow on the earnings plays. All right, on the earnings plays. Now we're gonna on the long. Those are short. On the long side, we've got Mara. We've got Riot. Right? Only on dips though. I repeat, only on dips. They work a lot better on dips. That's just the name of it. There was, you know, something about EV tax credit, something like that. Some news out yesterday. So that's where you're getting some of these, like, you know, butt plug type of stocks like moving. So let's keep some EVs on the list. LI, because it had fresh news out yesterday. You know, if you have a bunch of equal charts, but you have fresh news out in one, then you always go with the one that had the recent news, the recent earnings, because you'll get extra power out of those. So I'd go in with LI. I'd go in with FUV if it breaks out over FUV if it breaks over like 970-ish. You know, we want to definitely keep a couple of those, you know, on the list. You know, you can roll in, like you can see all these, but I think FUV probably has a little bit better range. You know, FCell, you could probably play this too, but this thing's a huge tear. Because it's just at a weird location. Good. Solar stocks are peaking up. Mark this level down on run. 46.75. 46.75. If it busts over that, I set an alert, right click, set alert, right, crossover, monitor for a week, give or take. If it gets over 46.75, I think you're going to get a nice push in some of these solars. ENPH has a level out here too. I keep an alert on this too. Keep it for maybe about a week. You guys should have I mean, there's so many stocks that are rounding and stuff. You should have a fucking decent amount of alerts going at any given moment. The easiest way to keep organized, think about patterns and then think about levels. Think about patterns and then think about levels. So once you start identifying what patterns you like, okay, I'm looking at bottoming patterns, I'm looking at momentum patterns, I'm looking at flag trades or whatever it might be. Once you narrow down the patterns, then you want to start scoping out levels on different time frames. So then it's like, okay, this is my 15-minute or 30-minute chart. I have a pattern I like, and now these are the levels that I want to trade around. Where most people, they just look at pattern, or what's hot, momentum, and then that's it. And so then they never really get any consistency in their trading because they're not actually beyond just patterns. They're not really thinking about where the levels of supply and demand are on a particular stock. So add in ENPH, add in RUD, set your alerts. I do think this UPST is back in bounce zone. You know, you pulled back into the 9, right? You started to push. It may go the first candle, by the way. You know, it does that a lot. Any break over previous day high triggers this one back into the top of this range. Good. I think those are going to be good. And then, yeah, a couple EVs, even Nicola's rounding, you know, kind of all that kind of fun stuff. Hey, one to just kind of keep an alert going for the next couple weeks. This is BMTX is really tightening up here. It still needs a little bit of work, it looks like. You know, you kind of came one round, two, it may need just one more. I keep an alert set, give or take, you know, around 210, 209. If you're looking more on like an hourly chart, you can kind of narrow it down a little bit better. Yeah, you got a nice sweet spot. It may take it out in the next couple days here. I'd put it, it's about 208, give or take. I think that one is getting ready to rip. You'll just have to keep an eye on it. You guys asked about Airbnb. I have a spot on this one too. I think it's a dud till it gets over. I think it's a dud till it gets over this like 138, and then it's going to be a Buenos. Yeah, you can see you're like, right, probably 138, 139. So it needs a little bit of work, but it can do it. I mean, it could pop through any day. Definitely, that's probably another one that you definitely want to kind of keep an eye on. Good. So, Rodney, you know, use your 15-minute chart to just spot out levels. And then, you know, once you're actually in the trading day, right, like once the market opens, then I'm on 5-minute charts looking for, right, my patterns, you know, ORB, pullbacks, you know, pullback to VWAPs, so on and so forth. So you want to like start big picture and then narrow it down into smaller term pictures so that you're aligning on multiple time frames. And so that's like the big reason you want to kind of prep out your trades right before the market happens. You know, a lot of these jokers come out here with their Discord rooms. They turn on their trade idea scanners, and then, you know, they're like, oh, these are running around, and so they buy them. But there's not really any plan to those kind of trades. You know, you can't just come in with your friggin' trade idea scanner, turn it on, and like start just playing what's hot and think that's how you. I mean, you can make some money like that, but if you're trying to make like fucking lot of money, then you can't. You know, it's just you make some money, but you can't make a lot. And hopefully that's what a lot of you guys are here for. Except Airballs, he's just here for the pizza. I'm not that keen on DLTR because it's a retail stock. We'll see what's up. Hey, there's a big spot on FSR too. You know, that's another one of those EV companies, right? You got a kind of big spot around here in the 1310 range. So it's probably something to just keep a little bit of an eye on also. Hey, that Tiger had earnings out the last couple days. That's going to be in play. Yeah, Tiger's going to be in play. Baidu's got a level at 196 also. Good. And then keep organized, guys. You know, a big part of this is just keeping organized. Keep all your charts everywhere you need. Have them at your fingertips.